My dear friend, let me share a story that may sound a lot like your own. At 68, I would look into the mirror each morning and feel a strange sense of disconnect from the person staring back. It wasn't just the physical reflection that bothered me. It was the signals my body had been sending for years, signals I stubbornly chose to ignore. You know the feeling, don't you? Waking up already tired even after a full night's sleep. A head that feels heavy and foggy, making even the simplest daily tasks hard. Joints that ache and stay stiff, turning every movement into a little effort. And that energy that was once abundant, now rationed, as if it were a scarce and precious resource. For decades I thought these changes were simply part of aging. That's just getting old, I told myself, repeating what friends and family said. I resigned myself to believing that feeling good was a thing of the past, a golden memory of youth that would never return. How wrong I was, and what a relief it was to find out. The transformation began unexpectedly during a conversation with my granddaughter. A nutrition student, she watched my eating habits during a visit and, with the delicacy only young people who love us can manage, suggested a few simple changes. "Grandpa," she said, "did you know there are foods that can make you feel like you did 20 years ago?" I laughed, skeptical. How could something as simple as food undo decades of decline? But curiosity spoke louder than skepticism. I began researching, experimenting, and, above all, paying close attention to how my body reacted to different foods. That's when I discovered a transformative truth. Our bodies, even at 60, 70, or 80, have an incredible capacity for regeneration and vitality, provided we give them the right fuel. What surprised me even more was learning that many foods I considered healthy were actually behind much of my discomfort. Those whole grain breads I ate religiously at breakfast, believing they were good for me. The fruit I consumed in abundance, thinking I was nourishing my body. The healthy cereals that became part of my morning routine, all of them, I later discovered, were silently sabotaging my energy, mental clarity, and overall well-being. The journey that started that day completely changed my relationship with food, and, more important, with my own body. It wasn't about adopting a radical diet or giving up life's pleasures. It was about making smart choices based on what truly benefits us at this special stage of life, about rediscovering foods I had neglected, foods with almost magical powers to make us feel alive again. Today, 5 years after that conversation with my granddaughter, I wake up every morning with an energy I hadn't felt in decades. My mind is clear and focused, my mood stable and positive, and my body moves with an agility I thought I had lost forever. Best of all, I'm not alone in this transformation. Hundreds of friends my age have found the same secrets and are living this second youth with me. That is exactly what I want to share with you in the pages ahead. The 10 most powerful foods that can transform your life after 60, just as they transformed mine. Simple, accessible, delicious foods, free of the silent villains that steal our vitality, sugar and processed carbohydrates. My dear friend, for many years I believed a lie that almost cost me my health. I remember the day, more than 2 decades ago, when my doctor told me to avoid eggs because they were bad for cholesterol. Like an obedient patient, I eliminated them completely and replaced them with brightly colored breakfast cereals and fruit juices I thought were healthier. What a monumental mistake. Today, at 73, I know eggs are genuine nutritional treasures, especially for those of us over 60. They're tiny, self-contained parcels of life, holding everything we need to feel strong and energetic. Rediscovering eggs was like welcoming back a dear friend I had unfairly abandoned. Have you ever stopped to consider the miracle of an egg? Inside that fragile shell is everything a living being needs to develop fully, and that is exactly what it offers us: life, energy, renewal. At this stage of life, when our bodies crave high-quality protein to keep muscles strong and minds sharp, an egg is a perfect gift. I remember my first week of eating eggs again. Each morning I scrambled two with a pinch of salt and fresh herbs from my garden. By the third day, something extraordinary happened. I woke up without that heavy fatigue that had followed me for years. It was as if my body were thanking me for finally giving it what it truly needed. Eggs are special for mature people because they contain complete protein, all the building blocks our bodies require to repair and strengthen muscle. As we age, we naturally lose muscle mass, but we don't have to accept that passively. With eggs as allies, we can preserve strength and independence far longer. Best of all, eggs contain not a single gram of sugar or processed carbohydrates. They are pure nutrition, free of the traps that leave us tired and foggy after meals. Eat an egg and your body gets clean, lasting energy instead of the surge and crash we feel with bread and sweets. Today, eggs are an essential part of my routine. Sometimes I boil them and carry one for a mid-afternoon snack. Other times, I make a simple omelette with vegetables from my garden. On weekends, I poach eggs for my wife and me, turning breakfast into a small celebration. What moves me most is how this simple change has echoed through my whole life. I have more stamina to play with my grandchildren, more energy to tend the garden I love, and clearer focus for deep conversations with my wife. It's amazing how something as basic as bringing eggs back to the table can restore the feeling of being truly alive. If you, as I once did, have avoided eggs out of fear or misinformation, I invite you to reconsider. Start slowly, perhaps a hard-boiled egg in the afternoon, and notice how your body responds. I believe you will be as pleasantly surprised as I was by this wonderful rediscovery. Can you remember the last time you forgot where you left your car keys? Or that embarrassing moment when you couldn't recall the name of an acquaintance you ran into at the supermarket? I used to experience situations like these almost every day, and for a long time I accepted that they were simply part of growing older. My memory just isn't what it used to be, I would tell my wife with resignation, until I discovered the transformative power of salmon. I'm not talking about just any fish. I mean that pink, succulent fish that became my most powerful ally in the fight against forgetfulness and mental fog. It was a discovery that changed not only my diet, but literally the way my brain works. The first time I began eating salmon regularly was almost by accident. My daughter, worried about my health, started bringing a fresh piece every week when she visited. "Dad, you need to eat more fish," she insisted, pan-searing that golden fillet with just a drizzle of olive oil and a few drops of lemon. The taste was delicious, but I had no idea what a gift I was giving my brain. After a few weeks of including salmon in my meals 2 or 3 times a week, something extraordinary began to happen. First, I noticed I was recalling people's names more easily. Then I realized I could follow long conversations without losing the thread. And most impressive of all, I started dreaming vividly again, something that hadn't happened in years. Salmon is like a special fuel for our brains. It contains fats our bodies can't produce on their own, yet are essential for keeping our minds sharp and our memories working well. These special fats help the brain communicate better with itself, as if they were lubricating oil for a precious machine. What impresses me most about salmon is how I feel after eating it. Unlike a meal full of bread or pasta, which leaves me drowsy and heavy, salmon gives me a clean, lasting sense of satisfaction. There's no mid-afternoon energy crash, no irresistible craving for sweets after lunch. I also learned that not all salmon is the same. Wild salmon caught in cold waters is far superior to its farm-raised counterpart. It's like comparing a backyard tomato to a supermarket tomato. The difference in flavor and benefits is remarkable. Whenever possible, I invest a little more in wild salmon, knowing I'm investing in my brain's health. My favorite way to prepare salmon is to keep it simple. A generous piece, seasoned only with salt, pepper, and fresh herbs, baked until it stays rosy inside. Sometimes I lay a few lemon slices on top. They release a wonderful aroma as the fish cooks. The simple preparation lets the fish's natural flavor shine without sugary sauces or heavy sides. One of the most striking changes I noticed was in my ability to learn new things. A few months ago, I decided to get better at using my smartphone so I could video chat with my grandchildren who live far away. In the past, that kind of challenge would have frustrated me and made me quit quickly. But with my mind clearer thanks to Salmon, I not only learned, I now help other friends my age with their tech questions. It's exciting to realize that our brains, even after 60, 70 or 80 years, still have an incredible capacity to improve and renew themselves. Salmon taught me that it's never too late to nourish our minds properly. Every bite is an investment in my mental clarity, my memory, and my ability to keep learning and growing. If you haven't yet made salmon a regular part of your diet, I encourage you to try it. Start slowly, perhaps once a week, and observe the changes. I'm certain that just as it happened to me, you'll be surprised by this special fish's power to awaken your mind once more. I confess that for most of my life, spinach was just that leafy green my mother insisted I eat when I was a child. Like many of you, I would wrinkle my nose and push it to the corner of the plate with my fork, hoping she wouldn't notice. Who would have guessed that decades later, this same little green leaf would become one of my favorite foods, and one of the main reasons I got back the energy I thought I had lost forever. My rediscovery of spinach came during a particularly difficult period. I was feeling weak, with that constant sense that my legs could no longer carry me as firmly as before. Climbing a single flight of stairs left me breathless, and even walking to the mailbox at the end of the street had become a small challenge. My wife, always attentive, suggested I see a nutritionist. That's where I learned about something called anemia in older adults. A very common condition among us, yet rarely discussed openly. As the years pass, our bodies sometimes struggle to absorb and use the iron in food, leaving us tired and drained. The nutritionist explained that spinach is one of the best natural sources of iron, especially suited to people our age. I decided to give these green leaves a chance, but with a different approach from my childhood. Instead of cooking them until they turned limp and tasteless, I learned to prepare them in ways that keep their mild flavor and pleasant texture. I began adding handfuls of fresh spinach to my morning omelets, a perfect combination that boosts the benefits of both foods. The transformation was gradual but undeniable. After 2 weeks of eating spinach regularly, I noticed I could climb the stairs without stopping to catch my breath. Within a month, I was back to my morning walks in the park, something I had given up because I felt too tired, and most surprising of all, my skin, once pale and lifeless, regained a healthier, rosier tone. Spinach revealed itself to be much more than an iron source. I learned that these leaves contain substances that help keep our eyes healthy, especially important for those of us who have worn glasses for decades. I also discovered they hold compounds that strengthen our bones, helping prevent the falls and fractures we fear so much at this age. One of the things that amazed me most was how versatile and tasty spinach can be when prepared correctly. My favorite recipe now is a simple sauté. I warm a little olive oil in a pan, add chopped garlic until it turns golden, then toss in fresh spinach, stirring just until it wilts slightly. I season it with salt, pepper, and a pinch of nutmeg. The result is delicious and nothing like that green mush from my childhood. Another unexpected benefit was to my digestion. For years, I struggled with constipation, a common problem for people our age. Spinach, rich in natural fiber, helped regulate my digestive system gently and naturally, without the need for uncomfortable medications. Today, I make sure to include spinach in my meals at least 4 times a week. Sometimes I add it to homemade soups. Other times, I prepare mixed salads with baby spinach, whose flavor is even milder. I also discovered that I can freeze spinach without losing its nutritional properties, which lets me keep this powerful food on hand at all times. What moves me most is realizing how something as simple as adding green leaves to my diet has had such a profound impact on my quality of life. I've regained the energy for the activities I love, like gardening and playing with my grandchildren. My physical stamina has improved significantly, and that constant feeling of weakness has become just a memory. If you, like I once did, feel that your energy isn't what it used to be, maybe it's time to give spinach a fresh chance. Forget the bad memories from childhood and see these green leaves as powerful allies on your journey to feeling strong and vital again. I'm sure you'll be as surprised as I was by the results. Have you ever had the disconcerting experience of walking into a room and completely forgetting why you went there? Or perhaps you found yourself in the middle of a conversation, knowing exactly what you wanted to say, but the words simply refused to come out. These small lapses became so frequent in my life that I started avoiding social situations, afraid of embarrassing myself or seeming confused. It was my daughter-in-law, a dedicated nurse, who first told me about blueberries. During a Sunday family lunch, she noticed my frustration when I couldn't remember the name of a movie I'd watched the night before. "Dad," she said gently, "do you know about the power of blueberries for the brain?" I must admit, I thought it sounded odd. How could something so tiny make a difference in something as complex as our minds? But curiosity got the better of me, and I decided to give them a try. I began buying a small box of fresh blueberries each week, eating a handful as an afternoon snack. At first it was just for the taste. Those little blueberries are delicious, slightly sweet without being cloying. I didn't expect any miracles. I simply wanted to please my daughter-in-law and maybe eat something healthier than the cookies I used to nibble. The change started subtly, almost imperceptibly. First, I noticed I could finish crossword puzzles that had previously frustrated me. Then I realized words flowed more easily during conversations. And then something extraordinary happened. I remembered not only the name of that movie, but also details of the plot and even the names of the leading actors. Blueberries, I later discovered, are like tiny capsules of youth for our brain. They contain special substances that protect our brain cells from the damage of time, as if building a protective shield around our thoughts and memories. It's fascinating to think that something so small and delicious can wield such power over our mental capacity. What impresses me most about blueberries is how they make me feel mentally alert without leaving me jittery or nervous. Unlike coffee, which sometimes makes me anxious, blueberries provide a calm, sustained mental clarity. It's as if my mind becomes more organized and efficient, able to access information that once seemed lost somewhere unreachable in my memory. I've made blueberries an essential part of my daily routine. In the morning, I add a handful to my plain yogurt, creating a colorful and nutritious breakfast. In the afternoon, when I feel that little hunger between meals, instead of reaching for cookies or bread, I grab my bowl of blueberries and savor each one slowly, like tiny jewels from nature. A wonderful discovery was that frozen blueberries retain all their beneficial properties and are sometimes even more nutrient-dense than fresh ones. That means I can keep my natural medicine on hand all year long without worrying about seasonality or high prices. I always keep a portion in the freezer, ready to add to my meals. The improvement in my brain function has brought benefits that ripple through my entire life. I've gone back to reading books with pleasure, able to follow complex plots and remember characters and details. I've resumed working on jigsaw puzzles, an activity I had abandoned out of frustration. Even driving has become safer and more confident because my attention and reflexes have improved significantly. The most exciting thing was realizing that it wasn't just about halting decline. It was about truly improving. My capacity to learn new things returned in full force. Recently, I learned to use apps on my tablet to chat with distant friends, something that once seemed impossible. It's as if blueberries unlocked parts of my brain that were merely dormant, not dead. Today, when I see those little blueberries in my bowl, I feel deep gratitude. They have given me back not only mental agility, but also confidence in myself. I no longer fear forgetting names in conversation or losing my train of thought mid-explanation. Blueberries have returned to me the feeling of having a reliable, sharp mind. If you've been feeling that your mind isn't as agile as it once was, try adding blueberries to your daily diet. It's a small investment with immeasurable returns. Every little blueberry is a dose of hope that we really can keep our minds young and active, no matter our age. For years, I avoided avocado as if it were my enemy. Too much fat, I thought, following the nutritional advice we learned decades ago, when any fatty food was deemed harmful. How ironic. Today, at 73, avocado has become one of my favorite foods, and a main reason I feel stronger and steadier than I have in decades. The change in perspective began after a small scare. I was walking down the stairs at home when my legs went wobbly and I had to grab the handrail to keep from falling. It frightened me deeply. The thought of a fall and its possible consequences terrified me. That's when I sought help from a nutrition specialist for older adults, determined to act before it was too late. He was the one who introduced me to the true benefits of avocado. Your bones need healthy fats to absorb the vitamins that make them stronger, he explained simply. And avocado is one of the best sources of those special fats. I left the office with a shopping list that included avocados, though still doubtful that something so creamy and rich could really be beneficial. I started by adding half an avocado to my lunch, simply mashed with a fork, seasoned with salt and a squeeze of lemon. The mild flavor and creamy texture surprised me. It was like eating natural butter, far tastier than any artificial margarine I'd used before. Best of all, I felt satisfied for hours, without that hollow stomach feeling that sent me prowling the kitchen for something to eat. The transformation came faster than I expected. Within a few weeks, I noticed my legs felt firmer when I went up and down stairs. That sense of instability that had plagued me for months began to fade. It was as though my body was strengthening from the inside out, building a more solid base to support me. But the benefits of avocado went far beyond my bones. My skin, which had been growing drier and lifeless, became more hydrated and healthier looking. Even small cuts and scratches started healing more quickly. It felt as if avocado were nourishing my body in a complete and profound way. What impressed me most was discovering how avocado helped me absorb other nutrients from the foods I ate with it. When I added avocado chunks to my spinach salad, for instance, my body could make much better use of all the vitamins in the leafy greens. It was a perfect partnership that amplified the benefits of both foods. I also learned that not every avocado is the same. The best are those that yield slightly to gentle pressure but aren't too soft. I developed a special ritual for choosing them at the market, as if selecting little treasures. I keep some ripe avocados in the fridge and others ripening on the counter, ensuring I always have them at their peak. My favorite way to eat avocado now is in the morning, alongside scrambled eggs. I slice the avocado and lay it over the hot eggs, creating a creamy, nutritious combination that powers me through the day. Sometimes I make a simple spread, mashing the avocado with garlic and herbs, using it to fill omelets or just eating it by the spoonful. A wonderful discovery was that avocado also helped with a problem that had bothered me for years: stiff, painful joints. The difficulty of getting out of bed in the morning or rising from a low chair has decreased significantly. It's as if the good fats in avocado were lubricating my body from within, making everything move more smoothly. Today, when I see people my age avoiding avocado for fear of fat, I want to share my experience. We spent decades fearing the wrong fats and avoiding precisely those our bodies need most, especially at this stage of life. Avocado taught me that not all fat is an enemy. Some fats are true friends that help us age with health and dignity. If you're still hesitant to add avocado to your diet, I invite you to give this special fruit a chance. Start slowly, perhaps a quarter of an avocado per day, and see how your body responds. I'm sure that, like me, you'll discover that this creamy green fruit is much more than a food. It's an investment in your strength and stability for the years to come. I've always been a person of simple habits, especially when it came to snacks. For decades, whenever hunger struck between meals, I reached for sugary cookies or a slice of bread with jam. I thought walnuts were too expensive and hard to digest, just as my mother used to say. What a mistake I was making. Today, these little golden gems have become my faithful companions and one of the chief guardians of my cardiovascular health. My switch to walnuts began during a worrisome chat with my doctor. At a routine checkup, he noticed my blood pressure was creeping up, and my cholesterol numbers weren't great. "Nothing alarming yet," he said, "but we need to pay attention." Instead of jumping straight to medication, he suggested dietary changes. One recommendation caught my ear: eat a handful of walnuts every day. I'll admit I was skeptical. How could something so small influence my heart? Still, I bought a bag of walnuts and followed his advice. At first, the flavor seemed strong and the texture a bit odd. I was used to sweeter, more processed tastes, so this natural, oily flavor felt too different. I persisted because I trusted my doctor. The change came in a surprising way. In the first few days of eating walnuts regularly, I noticed my energy stayed steadier throughout the day. That sharp dip I felt mid-afternoon, when I usually grabbed something sugary to pick me up, simply vanished. It was as if walnuts supplied a cleaner, longer-lasting fuel for my body. But the real shock came at my next exam. After 3 months of including walnuts in my daily routine, my numbers had improved significantly. My blood pressure had dropped to normal levels, and my cholesterol was in a much healthier range. My doctor was as surprised as I was. "Keep doing what you're doing," he said with an approving smile. I learned that walnuts are like tiny natural pharmacies for our hearts. They contain special fats that help clear our arteries and keep our hearts beating strong and steady. I also discovered they hold compounds that reduce inflammation in the body, something very common at our age and a trigger for many health problems. What fascinates me most about walnuts is how intelligently they curb hunger. When I eat my daily handful, usually 7 or 8 nuts, I stay satisfied for hours without feeling the urge to snack on other things. It's completely different from cookies, which left me even hungrier half an hour later. Walnuts seem to talk directly to my body, telling it I've had enough. I've created a special ritual with walnuts. Every morning I set aside my daily portion on a small plate and eat them slowly throughout the day. Some with breakfast, a few as a mid-morning snack, and the last ones in the afternoon. I like to chew them very slowly, savoring that faintly sweet flavor and crunchy texture. It's almost meditative. A wonderful discovery was that walnuts also improved my sleep. I'd always had trouble nodding off, lying in bed with thoughts swirling. After I began eating walnuts regularly, I found myself falling asleep more easily and waking up more rested. I later learned they contain substances that help our bodies produce relaxation hormones. I also learned the importance of storing walnuts properly. Because they contain natural oils, they can turn rancid if poorly kept. Now I always keep a portion in the fridge in a tightly sealed container, ensuring they retain their fresh flavor and full nutritional benefits. It's a small care that makes all the difference. The impact of walnuts went far beyond lab numbers. I feel my heart stronger during physical activity. I can climb hills that used to leave me winded, and my recovery after exercise is much quicker. It's as if my cardiovascular system has gained renewed youth. Today, when I meet friends complaining about heart issues or high blood pressure, I always share my walnut experience. It's amazing how many people still see nuts as enemies of health when they are actually some of the best friends our hearts can have, especially after 60. If you've avoided walnuts because you think they're too caloric or fatty, reconsider that decision. One handful a day may be the smartest investment you'll make in your heart's health. And remember, our generation deserves to live with strong, healthy hearts, enjoying every moment of life with vitality and energy. I must confess that for most of my adult life, broccoli was just that green vegetable that showed up on my plate as an obligation. My wife insisted I eat it. I'd make a face, chew quickly, and swallow as though it were bitter medicine. "It's good for you," she'd say, and I dutifully ate it. Yet I never understood why or felt any real difference in my health. Everything changed when I began having persistent digestive problems. My bowels had become irregular. I felt constantly bloated, and that heavy sensation in my stomach followed me from the moment I woke up until bedtime. Some days I felt as if I were carrying stones in my belly. It was uncomfortable and frustrating, especially because it affected my mood and overall energy. During a conversation with a friend my age who'd gone through similar issues, broccoli came back into my life in a completely different way. "You won't believe it," he said, "but broccoli totally transformed my digestive system. But you have to cook it right. It can't be limp and flavorless like we used to eat." That piqued my curiosity. I decided to give this long-neglected vegetable another chance. This time, instead of cooking it until it turned yellow and mushy, I learned to prepare it so it kept its vibrant green color and slight crunch. I started steaming it for just a few minutes, then seasoning with olive oil, garlic, and a pinch of salt. The difference in flavor was amazing. In less than 2 weeks of eating properly prepared broccoli 3 or 4 times a week, my digestion improved dramatically. The constant heaviness in my stomach eased, my bowels returned to regularity, and the abdominal bloating that bothered me so much virtually disappeared. It was as if my digestive system had been renewed and revitalized. But the benefits of broccoli went far beyond digestion. I noticed my energy became steadier and longer lasting, not the explosive, fleeting rush that comes from sugars and refined carbs, but a consistent vitality that stayed with me all day. It felt as though my body were running more efficiently and cleanly. I discovered that broccoli is like a natural broom for our bodies. It contains special compounds that help us eliminate toxins accumulated over the years. After 60, our systems sometimes need extra help with that internal cleanup, and broccoli provides exactly that, naturally and gently. One thing that surprised me most was how broccoli boosted my immunity. For decades, I caught colds easily, especially when the seasons changed. Last winter, for the first time in years, I went through the entire cold season without getting sick even once. My body seemed stronger and better prepared to face minor health threats. I also learned that preparation makes all the difference in preserving broccoli's benefits. Overcooking destroys many of its precious properties. Now I prefer to steam, quick sauté, or even eat a few florets raw in salads. The key is to keep that bright green color and firm texture. My favorite recipe now is a simple sauté. I heat olive oil in a pan, add chopped garlic, toss in the broccoli florets, and stir for just a few minutes until they turn vivid green. I season with salt, black pepper, and sometimes sprinkle in slivered almonds for extra crunch. It's simple, tasty, and incredibly nutritious. Broccoli also taught me about variety in eating. I alternate among regular broccoli, broccolini, with its milder flavor, and even broccoli leaves, which many people discard but are delicious when sautéed. Each part of the plant offers unique benefits. An unexpected change was in my skin. I'd always had rather dull skin with dark age spots. After a few months of including broccoli regularly, my complexion took on a healthier, more even tone. It's as if the internal cleansing broccoli promotes is reflected on the outside as well. Today, when I see people my age avoiding green vegetables or preparing them poorly, I feel like sharing what I've learned. Broccoli doesn't have to be a sacrifice or unpleasant duty. When cooked with care and know-how, it becomes a powerful ally in our quest to feel light, clean, and full of vitality. If you too have a complicated relationship with broccoli, maybe it's time to give this extraordinary vegetable a second chance. Try preparing it differently, preserving its texture and flavor. I'm sure that, like me, you'll discover that this little green vegetable can do wonders for your health and well-being. For more than 10 years, I avoided red meat as if it were my enemy. Every expert said it was harmful, that it caused heart problems, that people our age should stay away from it entirely. Obediently following that advice, I replaced meat with chicken, fish, and plenty of carbohydrates I believed were healthier. The result? I gradually began to feel weaker, with less physical endurance and a constant fatigue I couldn't explain. My change in perspective came when my own body started sending clear signals that something was wrong. The weakness intensified until carrying grocery bags to the car left me completely out of breath. That's when I sought a second medical opinion. After reviewing my blood work, the new doctor asked a question that surprised me. "How long has it been since you ate red meat?" When I told him about my decade-long abstinence, he shook his head with concern. "Your iron and vitamin B12 levels are very low. That explains your fatigue and muscle weakness." He explained that especially after 60, our bodies have more difficulty absorbing certain nutrients, and lean red meat is one of the most bioavailable sources of iron and B-complex vitamins. "I'm not talking about eating meat every day or in large amounts," he clarified. "But 2 or 3 times a week, a serving of lean beef can make a dramatic difference in your energy and strength." I started slowly, wary after decades of anti-meat messaging. I chose lean cuts like eye of round, top round, and tenderloin, prepared simply, grilled, roasted, or sautéed with natural seasonings. The first thing I noticed was how deeply and lastingly satisfied I felt after a meal with meat, something I hadn't experienced in years. Within a few weeks, the boost in my energy was remarkable. That constant fatigue began to fade. I once again had the drive for activities I'd abandoned, like working longer in the garden or playing actively with my grandchildren. It was as if someone had recharged my internal batteries, but the change in my muscle strength impressed me most. For years, I'd felt my muscles shrinking, growing weaker and less responsive. Simple tasks like carrying shopping bags or moving furniture had become challenges. After adding lean beef to my diet, I realized I was regaining muscle mass and strength I thought I'd lost forever. Lean beef is like a complete natural supplement for people our age. It supplies high-quality protein that our bodies can easily use to repair and build muscle. It also contains zinc, which bolsters immunity, and natural creatine, which helps our muscles work better. I learned that not all red meat is the same. Lean cuts, such as eye of round, top round, and sirloin, contain far less saturated fat than more marbled cuts. I also discovered the value of choosing grass-fed beef whenever possible. It has a better nutritional profile and fewer chemical additives. My favorite way to prepare beef now is to keep things simple. Season it with salt, pepper, garlic, and fresh herbs. Then grill or roast it to the perfect doneness, neither too rare nor overcooked. I always serve it with green vegetables, creating balanced meals that keep me satisfied for hours. Timing matters too. I've found that when I eat beef at lunch, I have more energy for afternoon activities. When I eat it at dinner, I sleep better and wake up more refreshed. It's as if the meat provides exactly the nutrients my body needs to repair and recharge overnight. The impact went beyond physical energy. My ability to concentrate improved, my mood became more stable, and even my resistance to stress increased. I discovered that the iron in beef not only fights anemia, but is also essential for proper brain function. I also noticed improvements in my skin and hair. My hair became stronger and shinier, and small cuts and bruises healed more quickly. It's amazing how proper nutrition shows up in every aspect of our appearance and health. Today, whenever I talk with people my age who feel weak and tired, I share my experience with lean red meat. I'm not advocating excess or unhealthy preparations. I'm talking about consciously including a valuable source of nutrition that can mean the difference between feeling weak and exhausted or strong and vital. The lesson I learned is that sometimes what we think is healthy may actually deprive us of essential nutrients. Lean beef, eaten in moderation as part of a balanced diet, has become one of the pillars of my renewed vitality. It reconnects me with the strength and energy I thought I had lost forever. I've always had a complicated relationship with seafood. In my youth, I thought shrimp was an unnecessary luxury, something for special occasions that never justified the price. Later, when doctors began warning about cholesterol, I avoided it completely, convinced it was bad for my heart. How wrong I was. Today, shrimp is one of my favorite foods and a key driver of a transformation I never imagined possible. I rediscovered seafood when my sexual energy began to decline drastically. It was a subject I was embarrassed to discuss, even with my wife. But the reality was undeniable. My libido had all but disappeared, affecting not only our intimacy, but also my self-esteem and sense of manhood. I felt as if a fundamental part of who I was slowly fading away. During a candid talk with a lifelong friend, someone who's always been direct and honest with me, shrimp entered my life. He'd faced similar problems and told me how adding seafood, especially shrimp, had made a significant difference not just in his sexual energy, but in his overall vitality. It's rich in zinc, he explained, and zinc is essential for producing male hormones. The changes began subtly. First, I noticed I was waking up with more morning energy, something that hadn't happened for months. Then I realized my daytime energy was more consistent without the sharp dips that used to leave me discouraged. Gradually, I began to feel sensations returning that I thought I had lost forever. After a few weeks of eating shrimp regularly, my libido began to show signs of recovery. It wasn't an instant transformation, but a gradual, natural renewal that restored not only desire, but also confidence in myself. It was as though my body were rediscovering a vitality that had been dormant. Shrimp is extraordinary for people our age for several reasons. Beyond zinc, vital for hormone production, it provides very high-quality protein in a form that's easy to digest. It's also rich in substances that improve blood circulation, benefiting not only cardiovascular health, but male sexual function as well. One thing that impressed me most was how shrimp helped with muscle recovery. I've always enjoyed walking and light exercise, but lately my muscles had been taking longer and longer to recover. With shrimp in my diet, recovery became much faster and more efficient. My favorite way to prepare shrimp is to keep it simple so the nutrients stay intact. I season it with salt, pepper, garlic, and fresh herbs, then grill it quickly until it turns pink. Sometimes I sauté it in olive oil with garlic and a squeeze of lemon. The key is not to overcook, so the texture and flavor remain ideal. The impact of shrimp reached far beyond the sexual realm. My overall self-esteem improved markedly. I felt once again like a complete, vital man, able to enjoy every aspect of life. That reflected in my relationships, my mood, and my motivation to take better care of myself. An unexpected discovery was how shrimp improved my sleep quality. I'd often struggled with insomnia or broken sleep, but after adding it to my diet, I began sleeping more deeply and waking up more rested. I learned this is also related to zinc, which helps produce hormones that regulate sleep. I also noticed improvements in my skin and nail growth. My hair, which had been thinning and dull, became thicker and more vibrant. It's fascinating how one food can have such wide-ranging effects on the entire body. Today, shrimp is a regular presence on our table, and my wife has come to enjoy it too. We've created small, special rituals around these meals, turning them into moments of connection and pleasure. It's wonderful how good nutrition can not only improve our health, but also enrich our relationships. If you're a man who has felt a decline in energy, vitality, or sexual function, consider adding shrimp to your diet. It's not a miracle cure, but it might be the push your body needs to rediscover a vitality you thought was gone for good. For years, I silently suffered with digestive problems that seemed to worsen with age, constant gas, a bloated feeling after meals, and bowels that simply didn't work the way they should. It was embarrassing and uncomfortable, affecting not only my physical well-being, but also my social confidence. How many times did I skip dinner outings with friends for fear of feeling sick or uneasy? For decades, I ate sweetened yogurts loaded with sugar and artificial flavors, thinking I was doing something good for my health. TV commercials always showed happy, healthy people eating those colorful products, so I believed I was on the right track. In reality, those processed yogurts were feeding the bad bacteria in my gut and making my digestive issues worse. The turning point came when a nutritionist explained the difference between sugary store-bought yogurt and whole milk plain yogurt. Your gut needs beneficial bacteria, she said, but the sugar in commercial yogurts feeds the harmful bacteria. That revelation completely changed how I viewed the food I'd been eating every day. I began buying whole milk plain yogurt. No sugar, no artificial flavors, nothing but milk, fermented by live cultures. The first taste was a shock. After years of sweet, artificial flavors, the pure, slightly tangy taste seemed strange. But I persisted, starting with small portions mixed with a few walnuts or blueberries. The digestive transformation was gradual, yet profound. In the first weeks, I noticed a significant reduction in gas. Then the post-meal bloating began to disappear. Within a month, my bowels were functioning regularly and comfortably for the first time in years. It felt as though I had regained a fundamental aspect of my health that had been lost. Whole milk plain yogurt is extraordinary for people our age because it contains billions of beneficial bacteria that help restore balance to our digestive system. Over the years, we naturally lose many of these good bacteria, especially if we've taken antibiotics or eaten lots of processed foods. Yogurt acts like a reinforcement army for our gut health, but the benefits went far beyond digestion. I noticed a marked improvement in my ability to absorb nutrients from other foods. Vitamins and minerals that once seemed to pass straight through were finally being used properly. A surprising discovery was how yogurt improved my mood and mental clarity. I'd always heard about the gut-brain connection, but never believed it until I experienced it firsthand. With my digestion working well, my mind felt clearer, my mood more stable, and even my sleep quality improved. I learned that not all yogurt is the same. Whole milk plain yogurt made only with milk and live cultures is completely different from industrial products. I always look for versions that list active cultures and avoid anything with added sugar, dyes, or artificial preservatives. My morning routine now includes a bowl of plain yogurt with a few walnuts and blueberries. The combination of yogurt's probiotics, the healthy fats in walnuts, and the antioxidants in blueberries creates a breakfast that keeps me satisfied for hours. It nourishes both body and soul. One technique I picked up is making my own yogurt at home from time to time. It's easier than it sounds and gives me full control over quality. Using organic whole milk and high-quality starter cultures yields a yogurt that's creamier and richer in nutrients than any store version. Yogurt has also become my favorite afternoon snack. When I feel that between-meal hunger, a serving of plain yogurt satisfies perfectly. It supplies quality protein and keeps my blood sugar levels steady. Like other foods I've discovered, plain yogurt also had a positive effect on my skin. I'd always battled small irritations and inflammation, especially on my face. After a few months of regular yogurt consumption, my skin became smoother and more even-toned. The link between gut health and skin appearance is real and remarkable. Now, whenever I walk past the dairy aisle, I'm struck by the difference between products. Those colorful, sugary yogurts may carry the word yogurt on the label, but they're worlds away from the benefits of true plain yogurt. It's like comparing candy to a natural medicine. Whole milk plain yogurt taught me that sometimes the simplest, least processed versions of foods are the most powerful. You don't need artificial flavors or added sugar when you have a food that naturally promotes health and well-being. It's one of the smartest investments you can make in your digestive and overall health. If you've been dealing with digestive issues or want to strengthen your immunity, consider making whole milk plain yogurt part of your daily routine. It's a simple, accessible, and transformative food that can make a significant difference in how you feel every single day. For most of my life, turmeric was nothing more than that yellow powder that tinted curry, an exotic ingredient that seldom appeared in my traditional kitchen. I had no idea that inside that little golden rhizome lay one of the world's most powerful natural anti-inflammatories. The discovery came just when I needed it most, as joint pain began turning simple activities into daily challenges. The pain started subtly, as morning stiffness that took forever to fade. Gradually it intensified until getting out of bed became a slow, painful process. My knees protested at every flight of stairs, my fingers stiffened after even short periods of inactivity, and that dull ache in my back became a constant companion. It was frustrating to feel my own body working against me. I tried many approaches: gentle exercise, warm compresses, even a few anti-inflammatory pills that left my stomach irritated. Nothing brought lasting relief. Then, during a chat with an Indian-born neighbor, I heard for the first time about turmeric's medicinal power. My grandmother drank golden milk every night, she told me, and at 90, she could still walk for miles without pain. Intrigued, I began researching the spice. I learned that turmeric contains a compound called curcumin, famous for its natural anti-inflammatory properties. Unlike synthetic drugs, turmeric works gently, reducing inflammation without the unpleasant side effects those medicines can cause in the stomach or elsewhere. I started by adding 1 teaspoon of turmeric powder to my daily diet. At first, I mixed it into warm milk before bed, creating the golden milk my neighbor had mentioned. The taste was different, earthy and slightly bitter, but not unpleasant. I added a pinch of black pepper after reading that it boosts the body's absorption of curcumin. The first changes were subtle. After a week, I was waking up with less morning stiffness. The pain hadn't vanished entirely, but it was milder and didn't last as long. Encouraged, I kept up the habit, experimenting with new ways to add turmeric to meals. Within a few weeks, the improvement was undeniable. I could rise from bed without grimacing, climb stairs without hesitation, and even play on the floor with my grandkids without dreading the moment I'd have to stand again. It felt as if my body were remembering how to move easily and comfortably. Turmeric is especially valuable at our age because it tackles one of the chief culprits behind many health problems: chronic inflammation. As the years pass, our bodies develop tiny internal inflammations that, while not acute, contribute to pain, stiffness, and even more serious diseases. Turmeric acts like a natural eraser for those inflammations. I discovered many tasty ways to work turmeric into my cooking. Besides the nightly golden milk, I began adding the powder to vegetable stir-fries, creating colorful, flavorful dishes. I also learned to cook up a turmeric paste with water, which I keep in the fridge and stir into soups, sauces, and even scrambled eggs. An interesting revelation was that fresh turmeric is even more potent than the powder. Whenever it's available, I buy whole roots, grate small amounts over salads, or add them to green juices. The flavor is milder and fresher, and the benefits seem even greater. The rewards went beyond easing joint pain. I noticed that small cuts and scrapes healed faster, and even the occasional gum inflammation diminished markedly. It's amazing how a natural anti-inflammatory can have such wide-ranging effects throughout the body. I also felt a lift in my overall mood. I later discovered there's a link between chronic inflammation and feelings of sadness or irritability. With inflammation under control thanks to turmeric, my emotional outlook became steadier and more positive. One technique I developed is preparing a concentrated golden dose. I blend turmeric powder with warm coconut oil and a pinch of black pepper, forming a paste from which I take a teaspoon every day. It's an efficient way to ensure I'm getting a consistent therapeutic amount. Turmeric's impact on my quality of life has been transformative. I'm back to taking long walks, gardening without pain, and even dancing with my wife on special occasions. Activities I'd gradually abandoned because of discomfort are once again part of my routine. Today, turmeric is a non-negotiable staple in my pantry, one of the cheapest, most effective investments I've ever made in my health. Seeing that golden powder in my kitchen reminds me daily that nature provides powerful solutions to our health challenges, often in simple, accessible forms. If you're dealing with joint pain, morning stiffness, or any inflammatory discomfort, turmeric may be exactly what your body is asking for. It's a natural, safe, and effective remedy that can give you back the freedom of movement and comfort you deserve at this stage of life. Here I am, 5 years after that life-changing conversation with my granddaughter, looking at the man who greets me in the mirror each morning. The difference is striking, not only in physical appearance, but above all in the energy that shines from my eyes. Where once there was resignation and fatigue, I now see vitality and hope. Where there was passive acceptance of decline, there is now the certainty that each day can be better than the last. This journey taught me something fundamental. It is never too late to change. At 68, when everything seemed to indicate that my best days were behind me, I discovered I was merely beginning a new phase of life. One in which I combined decades of accumulated knowledge with an energy and eagerness I thought I had lost forever. Every food I discovered in these chapters became more than nourishment. It became preventive medicine, fuel for my vitality, and an ingredient for a full life. Eggs returned my muscular strength and mental clarity. Salmon fed my brain and sharpened my memory. Spinach brought back my physical energy. Blueberries honed my mind like a blade. Avocado strengthened my bones and joints, giving me stability and confidence in every movement. Walnuts protected my heart and leveled my energy. Broccoli cleansed my body of accumulated toxins. Lean beef rebuilt my muscular strength. Shrimp rekindled my masculine vitality in ways I had not felt for years. Plain yogurt restored my digestion and boosted my immunity. Garlic became my daily cardiovascular guardian. And turmeric gave me back my freedom of movement, erasing pains I had labeled part of getting older. Each of these foods has contributed to the symphony of well-being that now defines my everyday life. Yet perhaps the most important discovery has been understanding that our bodies, even after 60, 70, or 80, possess an extraordinary capacity to regenerate and renew. We are not machines doomed to inevitable decay. We are living organisms, capable of healing, adapting, and improving, provided we give ourselves the right tools. Today I wake up at 6 o'clock every morning without an alarm, driven out of bed by a natural energy. I prepare my breakfast: scrambled eggs with spinach, a few slices of avocado, a handful of blueberries, and a glass of golden milk with turmeric. It keeps me satisfied and energized until lunchtime. My afternoons are filled with activities I abandoned years ago. Long walks in the park, gardening, active play with my grandchildren. My mind is clear enough to learn new things. I recently began studying a new language on tablet apps. My memory is so sharp that I surprise even my children by recalling details of past conversations. At night, my wife and I cook together, trying new recipes that incorporate all these powerful foods. Our kitchen has become a laboratory of health and flavor, where every meal is an opportunity to nourish body and soul. We dine on grilled salmon with broccoli seasoned with fresh garlic, or whip up a shrimp stir-fry with turmeric and green vegetables. Medical checkups have turned into celebrations rather than worries. My numbers are better now than they were 10 years ago. My blood pressure is normal, my cholesterol balanced, my bone density has even surprised my doctor. "Keep doing what you're doing," he always says, shaking his head in admiration. Most gratifying of all is seeing how this transformation has inspired others. Friends my age have started coming to me, curious about my renewed energy. I share everything I've learned, and I have already helped dozens of people start their own renewal journeys. It is thrilling to watch others discover that they, too, can feel young and vital again. I have learned that aging need not equal decline. It can be a time of refinement when we combine the wisdom of years with the vitality of smart choices. Every wrinkle on my face tells a story, yet my eyes shine with the energy of someone who still has much to live and experience. If you have come this far with me on this journey, know that you can transform your life as well. It doesn't matter whether you are 60, 70, 80, or beyond. It doesn't matter how long you have felt tired, in pain, or resigned. Your body is simply waiting for the right fuel to begin its own renewal. Start slowly. Choose one of the foods I mentioned and add it to your routine for a week. Notice how you feel. Then add another and another. You don't need a radical overnight change. Small, consistent steps bring extraordinary results over time. Remember, you are not just adding years to your life, you are adding life to your years. Every smart food choice is a vote of confidence in your future, a declaration that you deserve to feel good, strong, and vital regardless of the date on your ID. Today, at 73, I feel I'm living my second youth, a youth that is wiser, more grateful, more aware of the gifts each day offers. And the most beautiful part, I know the best is still to come. The journey continues, and I invite you to join me. Let's grow older not merely with dignity, but with vitality, energy, and joy. Our best days are not behind us. They are happening now, and even better ones await us in the future. Your second youth awaits you. You already know the time to act has arrived. Don't let another day go by, feeling tired, in pain, or resigned to what you think is normal for your age. Start today. Don't wait for Monday. Don't wait for next month. Don't wait until you feel motivated. Motivation comes from action, not the other way around, but you don't have to make this journey alone. If this story has inspired you, and you want to keep learning the secrets to a long, healthy, vibrant life, I invite you to join us. Click the subscribe button right now and activate the bell so you won't miss any content. Each video is a new opportunity to learn something that can change everything. The extraordinary life you deserve is waiting for you.